Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Jay. Welcome back to my channel. And today I want to give my thoughts on the main man Swee's character difficulty tier list that he has done a few days ago. And I really want to home in on what he said about Lei Wulong. Lei is one of the characters that I play, and I found what he said. I take his thoughts and criticism very seriously, and I really value a lot of what he says, and I tend to agree with most of it. I will say that with putting Lei Wulong in in D tier, or D for the tier list, which pretty much means like put it in a better perspective, a 1 out of 5 in difficulty. I don't necessarily agree with putting Lei that low on the difficulty. However, I know that in the past, the main man Sui, he has played Lei, and he did get to Tekken God Prime quite easily, and he made it look very easy. And I mean, he didn't have a problem with Lei, and he said that he won a lot, he barely lost, nobody knew the matchup. So I can see why he does not find Lei Wulong difficult. He gave Lei Wulong a try. He got to the highest rank. He didn't think it was really hard, especially when he plays characters like Kazuya, who is more on the difficult side. So even though I don't think Lei Wulong is that easy, I can see why, because he at least tried Lei Wulong out. It's not like he's just talking without, trying or playing him. Like he put in the work, and he plays like a lot of characters. So, I can respect his opinion, and I'm not saying that. I can see where he's coming from. So I want to just go into some of what he says. So let me start up from the beginning, because I know he mentions Xiao Yuan Yoshi at first, and then goes into Lei Wulong. And I also play Xiao Yu as well. So let me just play this, and I can give my thoughts.
Okay. So these two are very similar. So it's a circus. It's not the clown. It's the entire circus. How hard is the flowchart circus and the Oki? It should be said that it's a little bit similar to him, Knockdown, Kazuya, these two, but they are much
fast forward a little bit.
50-50 or a disgusting flowcharts. So this is about remembering all of these flowcharts for any given situation, any given knockdown or tech roll, whatever. Do I do A, C, or Z? Basically, quickly remember.
So based on what he's saying about Xiao Yu and Yoshi, now I don't know much about Yoshi, but I do play Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu is like my very, very first main back in the Tekken 3 days. He's absolutely right. Xiao Yu, and I guess Yoshi as well, they do require a lot of labbing on the characters themselves, more so than the opponent. Like, they do have so many flowcharts, and there's so many different situations in which you would need to, have a certain setup or a certain thing that you do to get some good Okizumi, or get a good launch, especially, which is really key for them, because they have pretty low damage. Like, Xiao Yu has the worst damage in the game. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly what he says about them, which is why I can say that, even though they're kind of goofy, they definitely not goofy, but they have a lot of cheese. There's still a lot of complexity and a lot that goes into those characters. There's a lot to take in, a lot to remember. And I would even agree that Lei Wulong is not on that level of difficulty, I guess you can say. Complexity, he has more complexity than them to a certain degree, but I would say a lot of it he doesn't have as much complexity that he has to use compared to them. There is complexity with Lei, but so I agree with this part, because the reason I mention this, because I know people in the chat were mentioning Lei Wulong is the same way. And it's like, no, I can see the difference. So he's going to go into Lei around this part, I believe.
It's that, right? To try to option select. Like, okay, I have a read on this Kazuya. He's going to 50-50 me. I step to the left, and I beat Hell Sweep and forward free. Unless he does some godlike.
Yeah, he's talking about Kazuya. Then he's going to go into Lei.
Face to realign. I'm going to beat it, right? These two, they reduce your option to take a fucking guess, because they both have homing Hell Sweeps. So suddenly you can't option select. in the beautiful game of Tekken, where you usually have multiple defensive options, which is what gives it its depth, by the way, its nuance, they remove it. And it's absolutely disgusting. But it's not unique to them. But then, Brain Dead down for 2, forward for 3, safe mid launcher, Razor Rush. Have you tried Razor Rushing your average online player? It's free win city. And then 9 million moves and strings and stances, and no one plays Lei. It's the thing that makes these characters so easy.
Okay, so this is where I can see where he's coming from, but I kind of disagree. I don't think that. I mean, I guess you can factor in character usage to their difficulty. Do it to a certain degree. I wouldn't say I think character usage, because Lei Wulong has a bit of a lower usage, I can maybe factor that into like maybe 15% of his difficulty. I don't feel like character usage should play that big in a character's difficulty, because it's not about who plays the character. It's about, how good is the character, what tools do they have, how is their execution, how is their game plan. I'm saying this because yes, Lei Wulong does have like a lot of cheese, but that only gets you so far. His Razor Rush, it can be interruptible depending on how delayable you do it. A lot of his stance transitions, a lot of people can just dick jab him out of it or just punch him right when he gets to his stance out of Razor Rush. So it's not like Razor Rush is just this. Although it's a good move, I won't say it's a great move. There's a delay with the neutral input, with like pressing forward and then waiting a little bit before you press the button. So I can't say it's a broken move. And once your opponent can download you, or once they know how to deal with it, it's kind of not useless, but it's much more nerfed, I guess you can say, during a match. So and that's the thing about Lei. Lei has like a lot of moves that are very punishable. Even his 10 frame while standing Punisher, which is while standing 3, 10 frames, really great, but on block, that move is launch punishable on block. So that's what I'm saying. Lei also his back 2-4, great move, has good evasion, but the second hit can be ducked and for a great launch. So Lei is very, very unsafe, I would say. And his fundamental tool set is good, but it's not great in any way. And it's not, I don't know, you have to be really knowledgeable about this character. And like I said, I think he's right with saying that Lei's definitely not a Xiaoyu or Yoshi. But my argument is just that Lei is not a 1 out of or a D tier in difficulty, or 1 out of 5 in difficulty. I think if it was up to me, I would put Lei in 3 out of 5, or B tier for difficulty, and I would place Xiaoyu and Yoshi up to A tier in difficulty. That's what I would do. I think Lei has like a lot of unsafe moves, and I feel like he's one of those characters. He really lacks a lot in his fundamentals, and I just cannot say in honesty that he is just as easy as Katarina or who else? Fang, Asuka. These characters are really piss easy to play, and I feel like Lei does require a lot more than them. He has so many different stances, so many different stance transitions, and although they're not always necessary, and they're not particularly, a lot of the moves for these stances aren't particularly strong. I mean, some of them are, but it still requires skill. It still requires you to know your shit with this character. And when I think of a character that's like a D tier difficulty, I'm thinking of someone that you need to know absolutely nothing about. Like just, press buttons, just play. Look like a Lucky Chloe, like a Katarina, like a Kunamitsu. Just has, not only do they have that, but they have like a lot of good shit. And I don't feel like, well, Lei does have some good moves, but I don't feel like, not as good as some of these guys. Like I feel like Lucky Chloe, this heifer has like 105 damage combo that, although yes you can sidestep it, but anyone that has pretty decent fundamentals can apply that combo. She takes that much damage. For Lei, he doesn't take that much damage. His damage is pretty average in my opinion. So I'm just saying he doesn't have a very competitive edge. He has a lot of good moves but no great moves, and that's why I don't think he's a D tier in difficulty. Now, like I said, I mean, I can respect the main man's opinion because, like I said, main man has played Lei and he found him easily personally. you know so it's hard to argue with that. He gave really good reasons as to why, but I don't know, I just think he should at least be C tier at the very least. I would say C or B, but I want to also hear what else he said when he went to Lei specifically. Let me just see. He's still talking here.
Easy, and a character like Zafina is that no one plays these two, and they're even if a lot of people played them. Like let's say Zafina was top in like in tournaments, you see her all the time, right? Because she's so strong. She has amazing frames and she has broken movement. Like, make no mistake, her movement is completely reason in my head because I have no idea why it's there. Fundamental Tekken, like with reach, frames, damage.
Okay, so he has a valid argument with Zafina. She is pretty easy, and she not only is she easy to use, and she has like a lot of bullshit. She has very strong fundamentals, and Lei does not have that, in my opinion. Not strong fundamentals. But let me just skip over to, I think it was 45 minute time frame he mentions Lei.
So it's the opposite. Having a lot of attacks is actually where you want to be. You want a lot of options. You don't want few options. That makes it harder. If you have few options, it's going to be not about what are you going to do, but when do you based character. Because timing is a fundamental. So where were we? Gigantic amounts of bullshit.
He's on her.
This is a game plan. Me. Panic move. Safe. What? 50-50 where you can't step. Disgusting stances. The dumbest 50-50s. Dumb down for 2. Bullshit evasion.
What is down 4-2? I don't. Maybe I need to. Maybe I don't. I'm not as good with Lei as I thought, but I can't speak on that move. I don't know. Maybe the main man's onto something here. I'm not sure what down 4-2 is. Down. I know down 4 and down 4.
Spam. No one knows the matchup. It's ridiculously easy to play. I never play Lei, but when I do, I win. It's like.
So he basically said the same thing in that section. Like I said, my thing, he's entitled to his opinion. I just feel like once you get to a certain level, you really need to know. Like, I feel like you really need to know a lot of Lei's stuff. And he has like a lot to take in, lots of stances, lots of transitions, and a lot of situational moves, and just you really need to know what to do. But so I would say he deserves to be in C or B, but Xiao Yu and Yoshi should always be above him. So he's like, I guess the best way to put it, he's a watered down Xiao Yu, pretty much, with a lot more complexity potential. But as far as setups and his cheese and stuff, it's definitely a lot easier to execute than Xiao Yu's and Yoshi's. So that's my thoughts on Lei. One other thing that I'm really happy about, I'm glad that he put Wulong in B tier difficulty, or which will also be, I guess, be considered like a 3 out of 5 in difficulty for those of you guys that like numbers like me. I'm so happy, and not only that, I'm glad he put Wulong in like the end of the B tier, like right between B tier and C tier. So because I am so sick of people acting like Wulong is just this difficult character. I would say the only thing about Hurrying that is difficult, that is, that is tough. The hardest thing about him is just his stance transitions. I would give you guys that. Okay, the guy has quite a bit of stances, and it can be confusing when you first start. But boy, do they make up for it so much with some of his moves like backlash, all of his strings where he's like completely and when he's completely safe or like has like advantage so much. His strong, powerful mix-ups, his strong damage, double claymore, his whole full throw game, just his speed. The guy has so much stuff that makes up for the complexity. And even like I said, the complexity is not. It's not like it's Lei Wulong's level stance complexity. You know what I'm saying? Arguably it's not even like Steve's. Like Steve is, Steve also has like a lot of stances and complexity as well. But yeah, Horang, this guy is not difficult. So I would say like and the reason I'm saying this, like I said, he has so many abusable things. And I feel like out of every character in the game, particularly out of the stance-based characters or like the complex characters, I guess you can say, I think he carries players the most, or the highest rather. Like I've seen so many Horong players in like blue ranks such as Raijin, even Yaksa, who do not deserve to be there. The only reason they're there, and I can tell by how they play, is just because they spam all these kicking moves and mix-ups, and it just gets overwhelming for the opponent. And it's like if you guess wrong, you lose so much damage against Horang. The guy takes too much damage. Now will I say, so I think Horong is right where he needs to be between C and B. So if I had to translate that into a number, I guess it's like a 2.5 out of 5 in difficulty. But I could give him a 3. I'll give him a 3. I guess 3 is good for his difficulty because the guy is not that difficult. His execution is not hard. The hardest move he has is just frame skyrocket, and it's not like it's even frame perfect or anything. Like it's not. And I don't think you really use it that much. Why use that when you have back 3? So yeah, that's how I feel about this character. And that I think those arm moves, particularly backlash and double claymore, backlash especially, they are completely broken. Backlash, it absorbs all of your attacks and just backlashes you, and for like a big chunk of damage, and that's just a launcher, and he gets so much stuff. He's most likely going to take you to the wall. This guy has really great range. His legs can hit you from a mile away. It's just, the guy has too much. If I was on the development team or the balance team rather for Horong, I think this guy would be top priority on my list to nerf. Now I don't think, and I will say this, I will give you guys this, I don't think he's the biggest problem in Tekken 7. I don't. I think as long as you have characters like this dude right here, Leroy, as well as some other characters, I would even Marta. Yeah, Marta. How can I forget this? And Paul. I want to say Lydia, but I'm getting a little bit more familiar with her. I don't think she's as good. I don't think she's super good. Oh, Kunamitsu, this bitch. So I'm saying all this to say, I don't think Horong is the biggest problem compared to like Kunamitsu, Leroy, Feng Wei, and quite a bit of others. But this guy is just not difficult to me. I don't see why. I feel like he could be just because of his complexity and stuff, but they make up for it. They give him too much stuff that makes up for it. But yeah, like if I was on a balance team, as I was saying earlier, I would take away backlash. That would not even be a thing. Is that like new to Tekken 7 or something? Because I don't remember that being in other games. I would take away backlash, and I would double claymore. Even though I hate that move, it is pretty easy to punish. It's like I punish that every time. I think it's like -13 on punish or on block, whatever. So I don't think double claymore is ridiculous, but I don't like the fact that it's an armor move. It still seems too abusable. But I say take away take away backlash and take away his throw game. why does this guy have so many fucking throws? It's like as if being pressured with all these kicks and mix-ups isn't enough. It's like once he finally stops and you can finally have your turn, he just fucking throws you. I'm sorry, you guys. I know there might be some Haram players that might be watching this or that may follow me, but this guy, I don't know. I think this guy, I just don't. My whole point is this guy is not hard to fight with. And as far as, and and maybe I need to play him a little bit more because I did a video a few weeks back about funness, and I don't know, something about him I just wasn't, really happy with as far as playing with him. I mean, he was okay, but I didn't have fun. And I don't know if it was just because every move he has like mostly just a whole bunch of kicks. It was just something that didn't resonate with me. And it's sad because I actually like Wulong as a character, and I really like special I like playing characters that are complex and that are stance based. I really like that, which is why I play Xiao Yu and Lei Wulong. And I was hoping I would like Wulong. But for some reason, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. I just didn't find him that interesting. And I think, and maybe it has something to do with me being a little bit lost with all those stance transitions. And I don't know. And I will say, I think Wulong is worth another try to play. Because I feel like as far as, there's a lot of things about him that I do like. Like I feel like I like that he's a complex character. I like that he has different stances. I like that he's, somewhat strong, even though he should be nerfed in my opinion. But I don't know. I might give Wulong another try to see if I find him a little bit more fun or interesting. But okay, I'm done grilling him. I want to talk about my other main, Julia Chain. So main man puts her in A tier difficulty or 4 out of 5 in difficulty, and I think he's pretty on point with putting her there. And the main reason why I think not only that she's in A tier, but just the fact that she's at the bottom of A tier for difficulty. So so basically it's more like a 3 out of 5 in difficulty, like 3 out of 5, like on this border, And I think that's very fitting for Julia because I'm not afraid to admit Julia does have a lot of abusable things as well, like bow and arrow, party crash is very good. She's a very strong character, very solid, has an answer for everything it seems. But the reason why I think she does belong in A tier difficulty is her execution and technicality. The girl is very technical. She requires a lot from the player from a technical standpoint. So many of her moves have multiple inputs and multiple variations, and it can get really easy to drop or like have mispresses on your butt, like mistakes, I guess, like when you try to do a certain move but another move comes out instead. That happens to me all the time. Her combos, she has some easier ones, but a lot of her like staple combos, particularly the one that requires her doing a shotgun spin into that transition into any transition with this shotgun spin, but particularly with the shotgun spin into down forward 4-2 back forward 1. That can be very, very easy to drop. It is. I drop it a lot. I would say I'm pretty consistent with. I would say I'm consistent with it, but I do drop it quite a bit. And not just that combo, just a lot of combos that she has, like a lot, even just the party crashers. Like I think something about the input delay of party crasher can make it kind of difficult to execute. I don't know. She does a lot of her combos are pretty difficult to do. They're not the hardest. I wouldn't say they're like. Well, I would say her staple combos are slightly harder than Jin's staple combos. I will say that I find her staple combos a little bit harder than Jin's, but as far as like max damage combos, like we were talking about the combos that give you like a lot of damage, her execution does not compare to Jin's. It does not compare to Steve's or Lay's. Or Lee Chaolan's. So I would say she's very execution heavy. Not as execution heavy as these guys, but not too far down, I would say. You do have to know your stuff. So I would say that's why I can agree with Julia being an A tier for difficulty. But besides that, I don't think she's super difficult. I would say she's a good intermediate character. So like I said, I think 3 out of 5 difficulty is fitting for her. And let me just see, are there any other characters that I think that I have any thoughts on? Kazuya. I don't know about this guy. I can see why he put Kazuya in S tier difficulty, just because, he does have a very limited move set. He requires like a lot of wave dashing, a lot of electrics. Even though electrics with Kazuya are not that hard compared to Jin's electrics. It seemed like Kazuya's electrics allow you to have a lot more time, like a lot more input time to input the punch button, where Jin's seem to be frame perfect. And I guess they made it that way because Kazuya depends on electrics. So, and I do think Kazuya takes too much damage. I think that his hardest, the combo with the 3 electrics and to everything else, is way too damaging compared to how much execution it requires. It is execution heavy, and I would say, it probably is more execution heavy than these characters. It is. I can say that, but it's not that hard, not compared to Jin's electric combos, in my opinion. And this guy's very spammable with those hell sweeps, which are very punishable. So I understand. So like I said, I can see Kazuya being S tier. I can see Hihachi. I can see Steve and Lee. I find these to be the most fun characters, but also probably the most hardest characters as well. I can see that with these two. I can see that. Jin's extremely difficult. This guy can be moved down some, but only because I feel like he gets like a lot of damage from his staple combos. His staple combos are not hard to execute, but I'm not mad with him being at S tier. I mean, I can see that. Devil Jin, not gonna argue there. Law, I feel like Law can be in either A or B. The only hard thing about Law is DSS, which is extremely hard. So that's really the only thing with Law. But I feel like he's pretty straightforward. This girl could be brought down some, I would think, but apparently there's something that makes her this difficult, because everybody seems to say that. I don't know what it is, but I feel like she's very spammable. But I'm going to just let you guys have it, I guess. Julia, I think Julia belongs here, but she can be brought down to B too. I'm not mad. I can see her being, like I said, I think she's at the perfect spot. Like, definitely in lower A, upper B. I think Shao and Yoshi can be higher. I think Eddie can be higher. Lei should be higher. I think Lei should be in C or B. Okay, yeah. I think he changed it a little bit at the end. He ended up moving Fang up.
What do you want?
Okay, it's an ad. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on pretty much me giving my thoughts on why he placed Lee there, as well as my rant about Haring and just my overall thoughts for the tier list, I guess. I might do another reaction to some other characters because I found this list to be very interesting. I would love to give more thoughts, but yeah, I'm going to cut the video now. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you guys next time.